This is Daybreak on Trust TV. And now to the phone discussion. The newly passed bill by the National Assembly introduces stringent measures talking about the student loan bill aimed at addressing student loan default, including the possibility of jail time for defaulters. It aims to deter individuals from neglecting their repayment obligations and emphasizes the seriousness with which the government views the issue. Now, this is going to be the discussion this morning, and as well, expectedly, we intend to hear your take on the issue. So, please, at this moment, you can simply dial the numbers displayed on your screen to call into the program to share your thoughts and your perspectives. The student loan bill. What are the issues, and what are some of the parts of the bill that it's a challenge for you, that's an issue for you? Do you have any reservations about the bill? Should the bill be passed in the first place? Is it an advantage or disadvantage? Especially bearing in mind that jail term has now been proposed for those who default. Of course, yes, the bill stated that those who take up these loans would have a grace period of at least 2 years to, pay back these loans. 2 years, of course, after the compulsory National Youth Service to commence payment of the loans. And also, it considers that those who might not be gainfully employed or might not be employed as at the time might not necessarily, need to start paying until there's proof that they probably have something doing, they've been gainfully employed before they start repayment. So, what's your thoughts? What are your takes? Please call in, dial the number on your screen, and let's know what you think. Just for a bit of clarity, the bill was first, brought on the floor of the National Assembly in May 2016 by the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, now, of course, Chief of Staff to the President, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, expectedly to address issues around students accessing funds to pay school fees, among other issues, while trying to access higher education in tertiary institutions. So, the bill has been put on the floor of the National Assembly. It was first passed into law by President Bola Tinubu in June 2023. After that, unfortunately, a memorandum was sent to the National Assembly for it to be recalled for amendments, to be made for the bill to serve Nigerians better. However, there's also the issue of the jail term. So please, dial the number and let's hear your thoughts, of course. To other issues as well, the student loan bill, there are quite a number of things that's there in the bill, but then again, ASU, among many other student union bodies, have expressed some reservation about the bill. The last conversation that we had with a representative of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, they expressed quite, a number of reservations and whether it might undermine, the powers of the union. But then again, we have a call right now. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning. My name is AY Maxwell.
Okay, AY, go ahead. What's your contribution? What are your thoughts on the proposing of jail term for defaulters of the student loan?
I think that's to the extreme. For a government trying to assist students, and then you are proposing a jail term for the same student who...
Go ahead, AY, I can hear you. Well, unfortunately, we lost that call. So please dial the number on your screen to contribute on the program, to share your thoughts, your comments, and your concerns as well. So a bit of ground rules. If you're calling in, please try as much as possible to keep your comments short and simple. There are other callers also trying to contribute on the program. And as well, please do also turn down the volume of your TV set so there's no interference while you're trying to share your comments. We also have another caller now. Good morning.
Hello.
Welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm Fidelis Orduna. I'm calling from Asaba.
All right, Mr. Fidelis, go ahead.
We just sometimes wake up with ideas, and these ideas sound good, but they are not well thought out. Now, why would the government propose jail term for a student who was giving loan? Now, in our criminal law, when does owing somebody or collecting a loan become a crime? It doesn't work out that way. If I'm owing you, it's a civil matter. So why will you not introduce criminality jail term to somebody that's owing? There are processes of recovering money that are owed. So you don't begin to bring criminality into a civil matter. Are there no lawyers in that house, in that Senate?
So they shouldn't have made it a criminal matter.
Are they in Nigeria? In Nigeria, has Nigeria been sent to prison?
Okay, so during the course of the program, of course, a lawyer will be joining us and he would help make more sense and meaning.
These are things.
Go ahead, Mr. Fidelis.
Okay. So these are what should be taught out. Then again, if somebody is owing, and then you probably want to get your money back, the question is the person that the student have graduated, is he working? Does he have the means to pay the loan? These are things that should be inquired before you talk about criminal terms. If he has the means to pay and he refuses to pay, how you will know that? Why is this man not paying? I remind you, not all students that took the loan that will graduate from the school. What happened to those who fell out from the school, who could not finish the school? Then what about those who could not get job for a very long time? So instead of the government working out how to change this country into production, as you are graduating, there are employment for you. They are just thinking of how to jail a student for loans that are given to them. It is terrible. So I don't know. See, thank God that you said the lawyer will be joining us. I don't know when collecting loan becomes a criminal matter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fidelis.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Fidelis called all the way from Asaba, and as per his concerns, he said the student loan should be a civil matter and shouldn't be made criminal by proposing jail terms for those, of course, who defaulted. It's also good to note, Mr. Fidelis, that the government is not proposing jail term immediately for those who failed to, repay the loans. The government had included in, the bill that it would give a grace period of at least 2 years, and it would not initiate, recollection of the loan. But then again, we have another caller right now. Good morning and welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm calling back. It's AY Maxwell calling back. I think my call
AY Maxwell. Okay, please go ahead. Yes, we lost you earlier.
Yes, I was saying, you see, the thing is, how can a government, I believe the reason for the loan is to see that people who are finding it difficult to get education, access education. I believe that is the reason for this loan.
Of course.
Now, when you are helping someone to get education in the midst of difficulty of trying to get education, and then at the end of it all, the product is that you send the same person to jail. Isn't it like the government shooting itself in the foot? I mean, that's counterproductive as long as I am concerned. Now, the government should see how they can sit down and do a proper planning. Now, every student that graduates from a school goes through the NYSC program, and government pays NYSC core members for a period of 1 year. Now, I think they should tailor down this loan to an amount that can, at least if the deductions are being done from their NYSC monthly stipend, it can cover for such loan. Now, you don't give a student loan of 5 million naira. I mean, that would be outrageous. That would be too much for a student who will probably graduate and not get a job immediately.
Okay.
I mean, even if the student gets a job immediately, how do you expect that student to pay 5 million naira? How will they spread that?
Yeah, Mr. Maxwell, if I could just butt in, Mr. Maxwell. So the government is not proposing that they will be giving a lump sum to these students, to pay our school fees or in the guise of a student loan per se. So there's going to be some level of checks to ensure that the amounts being requested for by the students actually balances and is in tandem with, their tertiary institution fees, among many other fees that they might need to pay during the course of their education in these tertiary institutions. The government is not also saying that these monies will be recovered immediately. And then again, I want to ask, if the government is making deductions from the National Youth Service Corps allowance that is provided to core members, then we are aware that these core members might not necessarily be earning any income outside the allowance that they earn, either from the government or from their place of primary assignment. So do you think it would make sense if the government commences deduction right from when they're observing their compulsory National Youth Service program?
Yes, that is why the minimum wage should be reviewed. You see, that's why the minimum wage should be reviewed. That is why things need to start working in this country. I am of most concern that if you are helping somebody, maybe like you said now, these people are actually seeing that students should just go through school easily. Government-owned universities. I think if we check the government-owned universities and see how we can work out things instead of this loan. Seriously, I don't know what to say, but
so would you say the government should consider maybe giving scholarship awards rather than a loan in itself in this case?
I think government should. No, you see, scholarship awards, free education. Personally, I am not an advocate for free education because anything that is free is never of any value to the person we are giving it to. So I would suggest instead of scholarship, instead of free education, we are in a digital world now. We should look at how we can do e-learning and make e-learning even more productive, where somebody can actually sit in his house and get a degree. I think the Open University is doing something that looks like even though they go to visual classes, they go to physical classes and all that. Yeah. But if we can work things out like that, instead of this loan there, I think the politicians are trying to create an avenue where they can embezzle money even the more. This loan thing, I see it as where people just want to make money, just embezzle money and encourage corruption the more. So we should be more proactive instead of doing this kind of thing.
All right, Mr. Maxwell, thank you so much for your contributions. However, I did not mention the state that you call from.
Oh, I'm calling from the FCT, Abuja here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Thank you so much for your contributions on the program, Mr. Maxwell.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Maxwell is recommending for other measures to be taken rather than the student loan in itself. He said he's not an advocate for scholarship awards and free education, but however, the current arrangement and the current order with which the student loan is being brought forward to Nigerians is not something that he's exactly satisfied with. You could also share your thoughts, comments, concerns, questions by calling in on the program using the number on your screen to, of course, contribute to the program. But before then, let's go on a quick break, and when we return, the conversation continues. Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on Trust TV, and of course, this is the discussion segment talking about the student loan bill and the proposal for jail term for defaulters of the loan. We have another caller on the line. Good morning. Thank you for joining the program. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Lawal, calling from Jigawa State.
Okay, Lawal, go ahead with your contribution.
I'm calling from Jigawa.
Go ahead, I can hear you, Lawal.
This not parties bill proposing jail term they were talking.
Yes, go ahead, I can hear you.
Okay. What about the senators, the House of Reps, the constituency allowance being given to them? Are they sending them to jail term? So that is my question. Why would they not give a student a loan and telling them that whoever did not pay, they will be sending them to jail terms? Is that the way forward for Nigeria in this hard time that you are saying? So that is my thing. Me, I don't believe that jail is the best thing for the student that devolves the money.
Okay, Mr. Lawal, what would you propose as the means of the government getting its money back? Because, of course, the government is not necessarily a charity organization, and, of course, is doing this to help the student, and it would want its monies paid back to it after the student completes, his or her education. So what would you propose as a means to get back these monies?
We don't know the student loan. How are they going to propose for the loan? Number one, is it when they collected the loan or getting the job? Is that the time they will be paying the loan back?
Okay, so to answer that question, for students who would need these loans, they would have to write to the National Loan Fund to seek for these loans, and then there's a process of verification that will be carried out by the National Education Loan Fund to ensure that what these students are saying or what these potential loan takers are saying is actually the truth, as well as other means of checks and verification to ensure before these loans are given. And then after the loans are given, it is expected that the students pay back after their compulsory service and after they must have gotten gainful employment in any organization, so they can then commence payment. And when they default after 2 years, as per the proposal in the bill, if they default, well, this is when the cases of this proposed jail term might come into play. So these are some of the ways that the students can access the loan and can also pay back these loans, and then the question of where students defaulting and students getting jail terms come in.
My question, explain to me now. Now, what about the child or one of the students happen not get job after that 2 years, and they said the money will be used for 2 years? What about the person, he or she did not get the job? What would they do to them?
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Lawal, I'm not a representative of the government, neither am I an employee of the National Education Loan Fund. So, the bill is still...
Nigeria that does not have job?
Yes, Mr. Lawal, so the bill is still on the floor of the National Assembly. Amendments are being made to it, so hopefully, when it is finally passed, some of these questions that you have and that I have as well would be addressed, in the bill. And if they are not, of course, programs like Daybreak will always be there for viewers to come and share their thoughts and concerns.
Leave them. God did. No wala.
All right, Mr. Lawal, thank you for calling on the program. All right, so let's take some messages and comments that were sent on social media. So it says, good morning, presenters of Daybreak on Trust TV. My take on this student loan issue is simple. First of all, why will jail term be included in the bill? On what grounds? To me, it does not even make sense. There are so many ways of dealing with defaulters, not jail term. We are civil society. Also, good morning. I think NAS should stop this bill. The loan between federal government and the students are civil in nature. Then why are they bringing criminal into a civil matter? Musa Umar from Jalingo, Taraba State. Okay, thank you very much, Musa, for your comments. And lastly, good morning, presenter. My name is Nyabzak Emmanuel from Abuja. I suggest government should introduce scholarship in all the government tertiary institutions instead of loans for Nigerian citizens. And another one. What of those that die after collecting the loan? It's been Mercy from Adamawa State. Good comments there, Mercy. Thank you very much. And of course, we have another caller. Good morning. Welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, good morning. Welcome to Daybreak. Can you hear me?
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where are you calling from, sir?
Okay, my name is Nyapzak Wapmak Emmanuel. I just sent you a WhatsApp message, but I would still want to add to what we just discussed about it.
Go ahead, Mr. Nyapzak. Indeed, I just read your comments now.
To the best of my knowledge, I think there would have been no need for the issue of loan for the Nigerian citizens, as it's supposed to be a free education or full scholarship for the citizens of this country. Considering the fact that most of our students after graduations, they will still stay at home for more than 10 years before getting job opportunities. And these are poor family, poor people, poor citizens from different community or different families that they cannot afford 3 square meals in a day.
Okay. So your proposal
and you are
is
still
for
expecting them to pay for scholarship again. What brought about the issue of scholarship again? The loan. What brought about the issue of loan again? For me, I would advise the government should reverse the issue of loan and introduce full scholarship for its citizens in all government institutions. In as much as there is no job awaiting every graduate that is of Nigeria. So as for me, I would advise that they should give a full scholarship instead of loan. Because if you put loan and you now always want to penalize your own poor citizens again, that if you default for the defaulter of people that they cannot pay the loan, why will you now punish your people that you're not giving them any job? Their parents are not getting job. It is very, very unfair. The senators, how much are they collecting? House of Reps, how much are they collecting? Even the government officials, they should think about something before putting law on poor citizens of it. Are they utilizing the money that is so-called money for those so-called constituency development? Are they putting it into use? If they really mean well for the common man, they should also say, okay, in that case, let us forfeit some of our own salary or some of our own allowances to sponsor the students or the children in their various communities. Why they don't want to do that, and they are bringing about law again to tax us? May God forgive them. But one day we will revolve. That's my take. May God bless us.
Mr. Nyapzak, amen. May God bless Nigeria. Thank you so much for your contribution on the program. So quite a number of callers have called in and have expressed disenchantment over plans by the federal government to include or to propose jail term for defaulters of the student loan. And we have another caller yet again. Good morning. Welcome to Daybreak. What's your name and where are you calling from? Please do well to turn down the volume of your TV set so it doesn't interfere with the conversation.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Go ahead. Your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I can hear you. Please do well to turn down the volume of your TV set.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling from Gombe.
All right. What's your name,
I'm calling from Gombe. Yeah. Okay, my name is Freedom Chika from Gombe.
Okay, Mr. Freedom, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, my take on this proposed jail term bid for student loan, I guess it's wrong.
Mr. Fika, go ahead.
Yeah, because I could remember then in school, one of the lecturers that taught us said most of them went through their education based on scholarship. The government paid them
Mr. Freedom, I would need you to turn down the volume of your TV set. If you keep the TV set volume turned up, we would not be able to have this conversation because it continues to interfere. Please turn down the volume of your TV set or step away from the TV so we can converse properly.
Okay, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I said, then in school, one of the lecturers that took us on programming, he said throughout his days in school, he was on scholarship. They paid them scholarship. They gave them every allowance for them to have a conducive environment of learning.
Okay.
Now, I see no reason where a government that is expected to cater for its citizens are trying to impose jail terms for students because of loans. These are rights that they are supposed to give to every citizen of this country.
Indeed, Mr. Freedom. So,
So to me, I guess this bill is very, very wrong. Then let's talk about what about students that will, in the course of this loan, either lost their life, whether through nature. What would be the repayment base? Who will pay for that loan if they default? I believe Nigeria government should have focused on making this nation a productive nation. That is one of the agenda of my proposed presidential candidate, Peter Obi. If Nigeria is working...
Okay, so Mr. Freedom, we're not here to campaign for any candidates, please. So if you could just go ahead with your thoughts and comments without trying to promote any candidate, that would be lovely.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr.
If Nigeria is a productive nation, I believe if a student should graduate under the loan scheme, he knows as soon as he's leaving the institution, he would either get a white-collar job or engage himself in other primary jobs that will enable him to pay back that loan.
All right.
We have so many leaders in our nation today that have gone through scholarship, either both home and abroad. They never paid for anything. Flight tickets from Nigeria down to other nations, and they learned under a conducive environment without paying for a dime. Then why would they say Nigerian students should please pay? If not that there are hardships, which parents will want to train their child under a loan scheme, for crying out loud?
Thank you so much.
They have to
Thank you so much for your contributions.
If not, God will judge them.
Thank you so much for your contributions, Mr. Freedom. So, Mr. Freedom shares the same sentiment with the many other callers who called in to share their thoughts and comments on the program. But then again, that's the much we can take on the discussion segment of the program. We will be taking a break now, but before then, let's show you Daily Hustle and how Nigerians work every day to make a living. Here's the Daily Hustle. We return at the top of the hour to serve you more on Daybreak. Thank you so much for staying with Daybreak on Trust TV. Earlier, we had opened the phone lines to commence discussion where Nigerians called in to share their perspectives and concerns around the student loan bill and the alleged proposal to include jail term for students who fail or who default on the payment of their loans. Now, we'll continue that discussion with experts in the studio today who would also be bearing their minds on the issues. The National Assembly on Wednesday passed the Student Loans Access to Higher Education Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2024. This comes after separate considerations by both the Senate and the House of Representatives of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TET Fund. President Bola Tinubu, in a letter written to the Senate last Thursday, sought to repeal of the existing law and submitted a fresh bill to be passed into law. This request came a day after the announcement of a temporary suspension of the commencement of the student loan scheme, which would allow students of tertiary institutions access to interest-free loans to complete their studies. Now, according to the brief, the fund shall not initiate loan recovery efforts until 2 years after the completion of the National Youth Service Corps program. It also stated that the beneficiary may request an extension of enforcement action by the fund by providing a sworn affidavit indicating that he is not employed in any capacity and is not receiving any income. It pointed out that any person who provides a false statement to the fund under this section is guilty of a felony and is liable to imprisonment for 3 years. We now have in the studio Barrister Bode Fadipe. He's a lawyer and also a policy analyst, and also joining us via Zoom from Imo State is Dr. Jennings Ekiayawo. He's a policy analyst. I hear he hasn't joined yet, but he will be joining us shortly. Good morning, Barrister Fadipe. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good morning.
Nigerians are quite disenchanted, especially with this proposal of jail terms for those who default on the payment of the loan. So, what's your take, seeing that some have considered it criminalizing a civil matter?
Well, I think first and foremost, let's even applaud the National Assembly. Let's applaud Mr. President that in line with his campaign proposal, he has gone ahead to give effect to that part of his campaign. But you see, for me, laws are not an end on their own. They are only a means to an end. And then addressing specifically the issue of criminalization of default in payment, I don't think that will achieve the intention that it is that the drafters of that law desire for it. I mean, there are so many. Usually, every criminal action against the state, crime is against the state, is either punished by jail time, by fine, by community work, and so many other things. I don't think we should have raised the issue of default in loan, student loan especially, to the level of jail time. I think we should look for a moralistic approach, but that is not to say that there should not be consequences. What I mean by adopting a moralistic approach is to say that, okay, look, if you default, we will profile you and make sure that you are not able to have access to other benefits in the state that the state is providing.
Like a credit system.
Yeah, a credit system. You see, one of the biggest challenges we have in this country is the fact that we don't have a good credit system. We don't have a system where there is high level of trust. So if, for instance, I take a loan as an indigence or because of my indigency or because of the indigency of my parents, I have access to state fund and I am giving that loan. There is an element of trust that you will pay back because you are not the only one that will benefit from. There are so many indigent people that will still come after you. So if you default, by deliberate action especially, because for there to be a jail term, it means there was an intention for crime to be fully committed, and you can say that this person is worthy of punishment. The action and the intention must coalesce. The two of them must work together. The man must intend to commit that crime, and he must have gone ahead, and that's why in law we say that a man intends the consequences of his action. So once you go ahead to do that, it means you have decided in your mind that you want to default and you need to be punished for it. But what kind of punishment are you going to get for it is the issue. So if we have a system where you default and we say as a result of your defaulting, you will not have access to health care that is subsidized, you will not have access to, maybe some other things with, your credit, maybe mortgage, for instance. You want to buy house from government. Others are buying it 10,000 naira, but because you have defaulted, you will have to buy it for 150,000 naira. So if we have a structure that comes from that perspective, I think it will be more effective. But you see, the problem we have here is that we don't have such a systemized, we don't have such system that can deploy such strategy to make sure that anybody that benefits from the state does not abuse the benefit, because you are not the only one. There are so many people that will be. So the issue of jail time for me will not achieve the purpose.
We saw what happened with the trader money and market money. Currently, the Bank of Industry is finding it quite difficult to recover some of these monies that were given out as paltry sums to traders to do business. But away from that, what about the consequences of sending students who basically assessed these loans with intentions of completing their education in tertiary institution? Unfortunately for them, by whatever act, be it an act of God or whatever act, they are unable to pay back these loans. And now the consequence of a jail term is put on them, and they have to go to some of these correctional facilities. And of course, the correctional system.
Yeah.
Is this not also going to add to the problems?
Now, going to jail presupposes that it was a deliberate thing, and we need to distinguish between what was done deliberately and the inability to pay as an act of God.
Even after 2 years.
Yes, after 2 years. So if act of God, maybe he fell sick, is not able to get employment because there is a quiet there is quiet responsibility on government to provide employment.
Means of sustenance.
Exactly, so that he can pay back, because part of the provision is that until he gets a job that can sustain him. So again, you see that there are so many subtexts in this student loan bill. I mean, or act. I mean, well, it's still a bill now because Mr. President has not assented to it. There are so many subtexts in it. One of them is that there must be employment opportunities, either from government or from the private sector or from the person himself. So how is he going to get employed? Maybe he's going to get another loan from another source and say, okay, I am starting something on my own to be able to pay back. So you are compounding the situation for the person. So for me, we need to distinguish between the intention not to pay and inability to pay as an act of God. Act of God, maybe he fell sick, maybe he had an accident and he died. And all of those provisions have been made there, because with criminal procedure, once the suspect or the accused person that is going through trial dies, the procedure abates immediately. It's only in civil procedure that it can continue and be transferred maybe to another party. But with criminal issue, is purely personal to the accused person. Nobody should be punished for the crime of another. So if he's going through that criminal procedure and he dies, that procedure abates immediately. So the same thing will apply in this situation now.
All right, so for the sake of our viewers, the president first passed the student loan bill into law in June 2023 before it was repealed. The amendment sought by the act by President Bola Tinubu, according to an explanatory memorandum, included removal of the family income threshold as a condition for applying for the student loan. So as you knew, initially there was a family income threshold where for you to qualify, your family has to earn within a certain amount of money per year before you're qualified to access the loan. So the president called for that caveat to be removed. It also removed the guarantor requirements so that students can apply and receive loans subject to application and identity verification guidelines as provided by the fund. Now, besides, student applications can no longer be disqualified based on their parents' loan history. So this is another caveat that was removed from the provisions of this bill. So your parents' loan history will no longer affect your eligibility to apply for the loan if it is passed into law again by the president. It established a justice and fairness provision mandating the board to ensure a minimum national spread of loans approved and disbursed in each financial year. Now, on repayment of loans, the bill indicated that the repayment shall begin as soon as the beneficiary becomes employed in any capacity. Now, according to the brief, also, the fund shall not initiate loan recovery efforts until 2 years after the completion of the National Youth Service Corps program. It also stated that a beneficiary may request an extension of enforcement action by the fund by providing a sworn affidavit indicating that he is not employed in any capacity and is not receiving any income. So these are some of the provision, and of course as contained in the memoranda that was sent to the National Assembly for the bill to be repealed and also reenacted. So Barrister Fajipe, with these new provisions added and removed, it's seeming like the repayment process is going to be slow.
Inevitably so. I mean, that's the bitter truth. This is not money that government should expect will come back almost immediately. This fund is going to move at the pace of a tortoise. It's going to be extremely slow, and it's almost like a dash. But because government intends it as a going concern, and because that is what it ought to be, it's very important that that fund is replenished. And how is that fund going to be replenished if people don't pay back? So it's very important for people to pay back. But not just that payback methodology alone. Even the managers of the fund must look for how to invest the fund and make profit so that there can be money for it at all times. Because the student population will continue to increase. Don't forget the fact that already we have a backlog. I was looking at the newspaper this morning, and I was seeing 3 states that I call the sky states that are on top of
So what are the sky states?
Sokoto, Kebbi, Yobe. They are on top of the category of states with highest number of out-of-school children. And the statistics is between 20 and 30 million. If those ones, as a matter of fact, the biggest threat to education in this country is not inability to pay at the higher institutional level.
So what is?
The biggest threat, one, these out-of-school children. See, Article 26 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights says education is a fundamental human right. Chapter 2 of our Constitution, Section 18, under Chapter 2 of our Constitution, lists education as one of the things that the state is supposed to provide. Not that alone, naturally, education should be something that comes to you. Because first and foremost, your parents are the first teachers. When you leave that place and they are supposed to give you traditional education, cultural education, and all of those little things that will sustain you, they seem so inconsequential, but they are supposed to sustain you in life. It is from your parents that you're supposed to first of all learn respect, love for other people. It's not from your teacher in the secular school, in your normal school environment. It's from your parents that you're supposed to learn that. If you don't learn that at that stage, that is why studies have shown that whatever a child is going to be in life, the first 6 years of that child is extremely important to the achievement of his goals in life. And those first 6 years are the years that you spend with your parents, because your school life is not supposed to start until about age 6. So if you miss that period, a lot of things have been lost in that person's life. A lot of things. So look at those out-of-school children. By the time they get to the point where they are supposed to be in the university and they are not there, a lot of things. That's why we have a lot of social problems in the country today. So for me, the biggest threat is not the inability to pay at the tertiary institution level. It's the foundation. That's one. Two, and this is saddening to me, that in our country of today, in those days when some of us were growing up, when we were still far younger than this, education was a leveler. Yourself and the child of the rich, you are in the same public school. And when they come to pick their children with their cars, you are trekking home, but you are happy that, look, there is opportunity for competition between the two of you. Because at certain stage, no matter how rich your father is, you still have to determine what your life will become.
Indeed.
No matter how rich their wealth can only make it a lot easier for you. But if the child of the poor man struggles and fights against the odds in life, it can even be better than the child of the rich and the child of the highly connected. So for me, education should start from the real threat. That is where Mr. President should go to. That is where the states should go to. That is where the National Assembly should go to. That is what we should deal with. How can we, in Nigeria of today, be hearing that 280 students were kidnapped? Even if it is with luxurious buses they were taken away, it can't be one luxurious bus. Another major threat to education in this country is the inconsistency in calendar, which is fueled by ASU strike today, ASU strike tomorrow. In Nigeria University, you know of when you gain admission, you don't know of when you are convocating. Not as a result of the fact that you are dull, you have an empty brain, but because the society has just made it difficult for you. When is Mr. President going to address the issue of ASU and make sure that ASU does not go on strike during its own period, whether for the first time or when if he thinks of coming for the second time?
Barrister Fadikpe, would you now say perhaps Nigerians may be overreacting on the wrong issues, considering that it's not like a majority of Nigerians might necessarily access these loans because it's not compulsory for these loans to be accessed. So would you say they should focus on other issues, for example, accountability on the side of government and transparency, ensuring that more jobs are provided so that in the first place, these students who collect these loans would even have jobs waiting for them, just like we heard about in the 80s and of course in the 70s and in the early 90s. Would you say that should be what Nigerians should be clamoring for, instead of complaining about the fact that a jail term was proposed for those who would default on payment of the loan?
Like I said, the jail term issue for me is not a principal or fundamental issue. I do agree with you if the argument is that government has to show more responsibility, but the citizens also have to show more, have to also play their role. If government has gone ahead, because there's nobody called government except the government administration officials. There's nobody called government except the human beings that are administration officials. If today, and I keep saying it, it's a moral issue that must be backed up with law. If today I have the opportunity to get 100,000 naira to pay my school fees, in any case, let's not forget the fact that students from private universities have been automatically excluded by reason of the fact that they have gone to private university. They have been automatically excluded. No private university takes less than 1 million naira. If I'm not current anyway, and I don't have anybody there. So
considering the current situation,
I mean, so my children attended public university. But the point I'm trying to make is this: anyone that gets the opportunity to take from state fund, don't forget that it's a commonwealth that has been made available to you on account of the fact that the state felt that the indigency of your parents may not have been as a result of their own deliberate steps, not the fact that they were lazy in working or lazy in looking for money, but by one providential issue or the other, they found themselves in that location in life. And the state says both the rich and the poor, they must have certain level playing field that can help them to propel themselves to the next stage. And they make it available to you. And you now took it and pocketed it. Just as you said, the trader money. How much of it has government recovered? Government should not be pursuing people. People should take the loan and willingly say, I am paying back. Obama did not pay back his student loan until very much until several years after. That is because the system has not only made it impossible for him to escape, but he also knows that he has a moral responsibility
to do so
placed on him to make sure that he pays back that money, because other people will need it.
All right, then. We're now joined by Dr. Jennings Ekianyanwu via Zoom from Imo State. Dr. Jennings, good morning and welcome to the conversation. I know, of course, you have been listening to the submissions by Barrister Fadipe, but then again, what's yours? The student loan bill proposed by Mr. President, and of course, the proposal for jail term for those who default in their payment of the loan. What's your take? Some Nigerians have expressed disenchantment and, of course, displeasure over plans to include jail terms for a matter that they say should have been a civil matter.
Anyway, like I was saying, that most of the policies that this government has churned out in the last almost getting to 1 year have been very inconsistent, in the sense that what I call policy somersault. You do it today, tomorrow you come up with a new policy. For me, I do not believe that this policy will work, because we do not have a system that is functional. Functional in the true sense that you can track students. You have the data of who is a student or who is not a student. Like in the US, the gentleman that they talked about, Obama, who took loan when he was in Harvard University. Did he pay back until sometime he became president and tried to pay back? Now, because America has what I call the social security system that have a comprehensive data of who you are and what you do and where you work or where you live or where you work or stuff like that, have a profile. But in Nigeria, we have different identification information data that you cannot comprehensively define. This is the data. If you go to banks, they ask you for NIA, they ask you for driver's license, they ask you for voter's ID card. But in America, it doesn't work that way, because the system is structured in a way that what you have is what you have. There's no way you can change it. But Nigeria here, someone can decide to change his name and live in neighborhood, maybe somewhere in Niger or Chad or anywhere else in Nigeria and change its name. So we have our education system. It's not functional in the sense that we're still struggling in the 24th century. There are countries. I'll give you a classical example. Look at a little country like Botswana, has gone far in terms of educational system. Ghana is just following suit, and other African countries, Uganda, they're all doing well. Rwanda, they're all doing well when it comes to educational issue. But Nigeria, we claim that we're giant of Africa, but we're not. We have little to show that what we're doing is actually right. For me, I would say that I do not believe in some of the policies that this government has turned out in the last almost get it 1 year. So they keep telling Nigerians that they have better future for them, they have better policies for them. But you can see that this is dead on arrival. Because how can you put up a jail sentence to somebody who collect loan? White people who still collect loan or collected loan from the banks haven't paid up to today. Some of their properties are on for sale, and government have not, deemed it fit to actually go about all these people who took loan, who defaulted in loans from the banks to collect it back from them. So how do you think that this one will work? Okay. The private university has taken place, has come to stay. So there's a high level of competitiveness, in the Nigerian education system. So we need to up our game. I think this loan, we used to have it in the 70s and in the 60s.
If I may just interject, you spoke quite passionately about why you think that this loan implementation might not be a success. So what are some of these things or these issues that you feel that the government has to put in place, or that needs to be put in place by members of the National Assembly and those concerned to ensure that this is a success, or at least to see that, because I believe the end game here for everybody is to ensure that all Nigerian students have access to tertiary education and are properly educated. So what, in your own opinion, should be done to ensure that this happens?
Well, in my humble opinion, if this loan will work, first and foremost, you must have a comprehensive data about who the students are and how these loans can be paid back, whether it's a short time, whether it's a long time. Like in America, when you take the loan, there's an undertaking, an agreement that you serve the university or you serve for a long period of time before this loan can be you can pay back. But it's not the way it is. So if you now say that people who collect loans, that if they don't pay, they will go to jail. That would take a long time litigation, and that litigation will stretch on as long as those people want to go to court to say, listen, this is not a criminal matter, it's a civil matter. For the loans, we were not forced to take the loans. The government, on their own volition, said that they want to give out loans to students to help them, further their education. So that causes the lapses. So when you want to do stuff like that, first of all, you get a legislation, and that legislation has to come under educational policy that allows people to take loans based on conditionalities, such like you're taking loans from the World Bank or IMF. You are not forced. When you meet of certain requirements, there must be certain requirements that the eligibility of this loan. If you don't have the eligibility and you don't have the eligibility status as how this loan should be given or should be loaned at, then you are not qualified to take the loan. First and foremost, look at the indigent people who cannot afford to pay for their tuition. There are people in federal universities that their parents are rich. You haven't done the data, you haven't done the survey to actually find out what is the possibility of if someone takes this loan, whether this loan will be paid or whether this loan will not be paid. You have not done the background check, then you are turning out a policy that is not sustainable. I think this is a political trying to do what I call political scoreboard to make relevant in the political setting of the Nigerian political setting. So I think the government should go back and structure back. Two recommendations. One is the government should have a comprehensive data of who are students that are eligible to take this loan. People who are really qualified to take this loan. Are these people indigents or non-indigents? Can they have the ability to pay back this loan?
All
And
right.
what is the duration of this loan? Is it after you graduate, they give you some time, and to get job in Nigeria, there's no job anywhere in the world. And the world is becoming more competitive. So you need what I call skills and innovations to actually leverage on the global thing.
All
So,
right.
and where are the jobs? If somebody graduates, so where are the jobs? If somebody dies, what happens?
All right, Dr. Jennings, I think these are some of the questions that you, as well as many other Nigerians, have been asking. Barrister Fatipe, so Dr. Jennings described the student loan program as most likely a political score point, instead of a political strategy, instead of more or less a developmental strategy that would see the development of Nigerian youth and, of course, students. Do you subscribe to this as well? Because I saw you nodding your head earlier to some of the submissions.
With profound respect to the submissions of Dr. Jennings, this is my. I don't want to see things from the perspective of political benefits to the sitting government. I'd rather want to see it from the perspective of what the students or the beneficiaries will get from it. So I don't care what government benefits.
So long as the students benefit.
Exactly. So long as, see, I tell my children, and I say this with all sense of humility, that I describe my relationship with education in the most ridiculous manner, for want of what to say. I say I am a slave of education.
Okay.
There are two things. Anyway, let me not bring my personal life here because of time. But you see, education is one thing that is too crucial. So I'm not going to look at it from the if government by so doing. In any case, government is supposed to do things that will make this populace to be happy so that they can vote, continue to retain them in power. So if government is benefiting from that side, good for government. But the citizen, the government is there for the purpose of the city. I don't care whether it's for political reasons or not. Are the people benefiting from it? Is it making their life better than what it was? That's the question I need to answer.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Barrister Bode Fadipe, for that submission, and also to Dr. Jennings Ekianyanwu, who is a policy analyst as well. Thank you so much for your submissions on the discussion around the Student Loan Bill and Act, and of course the proposal for jail term for those who default on the payments. Unfortunately, this is where we have to draw curtains on the discussion. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your submissions, for your perspectives, and of course for calling out the government for trying to score cheap political points by bringing on the student loan bill.